commercial space, actually there's a lot of activity that overlaps with activities in the government as well, this public-private partnership model that Catherine described earlier. So when I look at the commercial world, I see a couple of technologies that are evolving that can be real game changers. And then what's even more exciting is you think about integrating these things and get an idea of what's to come in the future. The first has been a trend that's gone on, I guess, for the last, 6, 7, 8 years, and that's the launch industry. Traditionally, in fact, a lot of people here in the space business use terms, if you've heard them, old space and new space. Old space refers to the connotation of large government programs that companies like Boeing and Lockheed Martin involved in. They've built the majority of the launch vehicles that have taken satellites and humans for the U.S. into orbit. And typically, when you look at launch costs, you use a metric of dollars per pound to geostationary orbit. So using old space technology, shuttle and atlases and deltas, typically the costs are around 25,000 pounds to take anything to orbit, whether it's a block of lead, a stack of paper, electronics box, whatever. The new space world that we're in now, there's many, many companies, but maybe among the most prominent ones are SpaceX, orbital ATK with the Antares vehicle. Costs have come down enormously. And when we look at the history of technology and commercialization of technology developing products, things happen when costs drop enormously. So right now, launch costs using Falcon 9, for example, it's more than a factor of 10 cheaper. And so what that means is when you reduce launch costs by that much, people that are developing ideas for new businesses in space, whether it's remote sensing, communications, tourism, whatever, business models start to close that wouldn't close otherwise with higher launch costs. So, I think, and with, for example, if we focus at Falcon 9 with what SpaceX is doing, right now we're seeing that they're beginning to reuse the first stage, the launch vehicle. But Elon Musk has announced that his intention is to basically try to reuse all parts of the vehicle, the launch fairing, the upper stage. So the more of the vehicle you can reuse, the lower the costs will be that they can charge and turn it into a profitable business. That, in fact, drives the development of other businesses, many of which we haven't seen yet, but there are a lot of people that are working this right now. And as you'll see over the next couple of years, many new companies are going to be announced that are going to provide new products and services that we hadn't even thought of before. So launch is one real big trend, costs coming down. The other is satellite servicing. Now, we've dabbled with satellite servicing. We were all thrilled and amazed watching the several Hubble Space Telescope servicing missions. And in fact, if Hubble wasn't serviced, people like my colleague Dave and astronomer Daniel over here would be kind of looking at the universe with a very fuzzy imaged telescope. Hubble was launched with a perfectly shaped mirror, but perfectly shaped in the wrong prescription. So a servicing mission was announced, and basically an instrument was put on board to correct the optical system. This was done largely by humans. It was largely a human servicing activity. However, it did have what we call robotic support. The robotic arm, Canada arm on the shuttle, provided support for the astronaut, maneuver the astronaut around so the astronaut could go off and do the repairs. And several other missions afterwards put in new cameras and better instruments, just made Hubble a much better, more powerful observatory over time. So we've had some experience with human servicing and human construction, but what's been happening lately is now we're seeing the world of fully autonomous robotic servicing. The first demonstration of this occurred back in 2007, the mission called Orbital Express. It was a joint DARPA, Boeing, and NASA experiment, which demonstrated the ability to refuel the satellite in orbit, swap out electronics boards, and do some simple repairs in addition. So that mission was highly successful. I was at Boeing at the time. We were all real excited and thought it was going to kick off a new business in satellite servicing. The problem is that Boeing also makes a whole lot of money selling new satellites. So, I was in these interesting meetings in which we were saying, well, now let's go commercialize this demonstration. Let's go fix satellites. And the VPGM of our commercial space was said, wait a minute, we'll make way more money selling new ones than you'll ever make on these repair jobs that you propose to do. So it was kind of shelved for a while. So great idea, wrong time. So now we come into the era now where satellite costs have come down. It's much more competitive, many more players in the market. So now all of a sudden the economics change. So recently, in the last 6-7 months or so, there have been 2 public-private partnerships launched. One from NASA Goddard. There's a mission called Restore-L, and it's a demonstration of refueling Landsat 7. It's an Earth-orbiting Earth observations satellite. It's supported NOAA weather observations and, for the weather program. It's an end of life, so we're going to try to refuel it to demonstrate refueling a satellite that was not designed to be refueled. These other things that we did earlier, Hubble was designed to be serviced, and the Orbital Express mission was servicing a satellite that was designed to be serviced, but this is another challenge because you've got to bring all kinds of other special tools along, and there's no humans involved. This will be completely autonomous. That mission will probably fly around 2020, 2021, and another mission, that's going to be in low Earth orbit, and then in geostationary orbit, recently DARPA and Space Systems Loral announced a partnership for a mission called RSGS, Robotic Geostationary Servicing Demonstration. I think that's what the acronym stands for. And this will be to demonstrate refueling, servicing, close-up inspection, also moving a satellite around, because in the commercial geocom business, you can have a viable business providing telecom services to a certain area, and then the business can change. And what that would mean if you had the capability would be to move your satellite to another orbital slot, another longitude slot. And the capability doesn't exist to do that now. So this type of capability will soon be demonstrated. That's going to fly around 2021 as well. And the last piece of interesting technology that's developing is something that Jim mentioned earlier, solar electric propulsion, because what this technology does, it enables, it's much, much more efficient to go from point A to point B in space. So when you glue these things together, what I think is we're going to see a revolution of new industries emerge that'll be very exciting. And the one that excites me the most, it's probably at least 10, 15 years off, but there are several companies now that are talking about extraterrestrial resource mining, extraction, deep space industries, planetary resources, and the way they're going to be able to succeed with their businesses is if you think of gluing together SEP technology with advanced robotic servicing technology and low-cost launch. Those are all 3 key pieces that companies like DSI and Planetary Resources need. So it might not be in the too far off in the distant future that products that we buy here on Earth will in fact come from asteroids. So to me, I find that very exciting.
Okay.